My dear viewers, hello and welcome to a new episode of our program Culture Magazine, during which we're going to bring you the latest cultural events that are taking place in Egypt. Please stay tuned.
The National Museum of Egyptian Civilization in Fustat recently received a delegation of Arab influencers and bloggers who are making an introductory visit to the governorates of Cairo, Alexandria, and the Red Sea to promote the Egyptian tourist destination in the Arab market. During their tour in Cairo, the delegation of Arab influencers was keen to visit the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization and enjoy the unique artifacts contained in the museum, especially the royal mummies, which they followed the process of transporting in a solemn procession last April from the Egyptian Museum in Tahrir. The delegation was received by Dr. Ahmed Ghunaim, the director of the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization, in the presence of Ahmed Youssef, the chairman of the General Tourism Promotion Authority. They toured the museum, during which they visited the central exhibition halls and the mummies. During the tour, they expressed their fascination with the royal mummies and the artifacts displayed in the museum, which express Egyptian civilization through different historical eras. Bloggers and influencers were keen to take memorial photos in front of the publicity boards for the procession of the royal mummies, which the museum kept in commemoration of this exceptional celebration that attracted all countries of the world, and posted them on their pages on various social networking sites. With the participation of about 60 artists, the 9th edition of the Arab Touches Forum exhibition opens at the Cairo Opera House. President of the Cairo Opera House, Dr. Mahdi Sabir, inaugurated the exhibition at the Salah Tahir Hall for Fine Arts. The exhibition is organized by the plastic artist Ahmed Gamal. The exhibition takes part with the participation of 60 artists displaying different types of artworks, including plastic art, photography, sculpture, and handicrafts. With the participation of 10 Arab countries in the forum in this session, the exhibition emphasized the significant positive meanings and cultural exchange, which created a highly artistic and cultural ambiance among the participants of creative Arab talents. The forum has organized more than 30 exhibitions around the world in Egypt, France, Russia, Italy, Saudi Arabia, Morocco, and Switzerland. Minister of Culture Dr. Ines Abdidaim and the President of the Cairo Opera House, Dr. Magdi Sabir, inaugurated the 29th edition of the Salahuddin Citadel International Festival for Music and Singing after its halt last year. The festival is held in cooperation with the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities, and its activities include 31 diverse concerts held under the supervision of the Artistic House of Music for Opera and Ballet, headed by Dr. Khalid Dagher. The opening ceremony begins at the Mahka Theatre, which is characterized by young innovators in various fields of music and the opera house. Egypt and the Arab world and others have taken part in achieving the success of the festival through its successive sessions, and they are the pianist Amr Slim, the singer Reem Kamal, the opera singer Dalia Farou, and many, many others.
مرة اللي البرق على صدري فداني القلق ولاني قررت الحياة رفضت اموت رغم اختلافنا المختلف فيكي بموت.
The festival also presented the first Egyptian and Arab to reach the renowned world competition Americans Got Talent, the young musician Medhat Mamdouh. The opening ceremony concluded with the violin and piano duo Fuad and Munib, accompanied by the Cairo Ceremonial Orchestra led by Maestro George Qalta, and they present some of their own works, including The Storm, Lost, along with some of their other artworks. It is noteworthy that the 29th session of the Citadel International Festival of Music and Singing brings together a group of singing and musical stars, as well as some famous singing and music troupes in Egypt and the Arab world, like Ali Al-Haggar, Hani Shakir, Hisham Abbas, Medhat Saleh, accompanied by the famous pianist Amr Slim and his band, Muhammad Al-Hilu, Nadia Mustafa, Ahmed Gamal, May Farou, and many more.
Egypt and the Ministry of Culture is always keen on preserving heritage, and each place has its own story. Let's watch the following story.
Egypt's Supreme Council of Culture and External Cultural Relations Sector, along with Embassy of India in Cairo, organized a symposium entitled India-Egypt Cultural Relations under an initiative called Cultural Relations of the Ministry of Culture, where His Excellency Ambassador of India to Egypt presented his address on India-Egypt cultural relations.
Well, India and Egypt have, of course, very close civilizational links. And in recent years, the bilateral relations have improved dramatically. One of the very interesting aspects is the great warmth and cultural contacts between the people. And today's symposium was basically aimed at increasing awareness of the various aspects of Indian culture which appeal to the Egyptian people. I think what came out in today's seminar was India's great tradition of tolerance, of how India is an outstanding example of unity in diversity, where people from different religious backgrounds, speaking different languages, different castes, of incredible diversity, they are all able to stay together in peace and harmony. I think that was a unique lesson which countries around the world need to follow. Well, I think as several people said today, that many Egyptians and Indians look alike. And one of your professors of Urdu, Egyptian professor, he said that when he goes to India, everyone considers him to be Indian, and he has a very difficult time explaining or convincing people that he is Egyptian. So, the people look alike. And then I think both Indians and Egyptians are tolerant. We have generally lived with other people in harmony, in peace. Another, I think, aspect is the determination of the people of India and Egypt to fight extremism, to fight terrorism. Well, I know that Egyptians are very fond of Bollywood. Many Bollywood movies are dubbed and are shown on various Arabic channels, and they are also very fond of Indian music and dance, and also in the last few years yoga has become very popular. So I do hope that we can together organize many more events to continue to increase the popularity of Indian culture. India has a lot of soft power in the world, and I can see that in Egypt also, and India is generally regarded as a benign country, not as a country which wants to harm other countries. Now that a large number of people have been vaccinated, I think we will start seeing Indian cultural troops visiting Egypt. What we are also trying to do is to identify local talent, local resources, because there are many Egyptians who can sing Indian songs, movie songs, who can do Indian dance. So we will try and utilize them also. Well, we've had a number of high-level visits which were exchanged. President Sisi visited India in 2015 for the India-Africa Forum, and then he also paid a state visit to India in 2016. And a number of ministers from both countries have visited each other. So one of the objectives will be to restart some of the ministerial visits which could not take place because of the pandemic for the last 1.5 years. So that will be one of the objectives. We are also starting off some of the old mechanisms. There are some joint commissions and joint working group. We've already scheduled a couple of them in September and in October. We are also beginning to see the first few business delegations from India coming to Egypt, and in fact in early September there is another business delegation likely to come. So I hope that with a large number of vaccinations taking place in India and hopefully in Egypt in the next few months, we can have more exchange of delegations. Well, in the short time that I have been here, I've been here for about 5 months, I have been most impressed by the warmth and affection that the Egyptian political leaders, the ministers and the bureaucrats and also the common people in Egypt have for India, and we would like to convert this into actual progress. And some of the areas where India can contribute enormously is in IT and in education and healthcare, where India is a leading power, and these would be my priority areas.
On the sidelines of the symposium, His Excellency Ajit Japoot, Ambassador of India to Egypt, inaugurated a photo exhibition documenting the Egyptian-Indian relations since hundreds of years.
I think there is a lot of commonalities and synergies between the Egyptian personality and the Indian. Both have fought their way through the future. They have old history and old civilization that have rendered to the world community a lot of values and traces of culture and science. I think Egypt and India are both are building momentum towards the future to the people from the third world. Successfully, India has become among the most important ranked nations in many fields, but what join both countries are many, and tonight at the Ministry of Culture, we are very grateful to Minister Ines Abdeldaim, who gave us this opportunity to talk about the commonalities that we have talked about in the personality, in the history, in the civilization, as two riparian nations to rivers like the Ganges and the Nile. Both India and Egypt have brought to the world many values. Who can forget the principles that the Egyptian civilian and peaceful revolution of the founder of the nation, Shah Zaghlul Basha, and this of Mahatma Gandhi in India, and the episode of leaders like Nasser and Nehru, who have brought the movement of non-alignment and independence of the third world. Both India and Egypt definitely have contributed to the well-being of humanity through the principles and the foundation of the liberation movements. Today, we are not talking about history and we are talking about the present and the future, where India and Egypt have accomplished a lot of achievements, and I'm sure that the bonds that exist between the two countries reflects itself today between President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Both have decided to move further on the steps of the fathers of these relations.
Hundreds or even thousands of different varieties of the Indian handicrafts that will touch your soul and takes you to a dazzling journey.
Egyptian culture and the Indian one. I'm very happy because the High Culture House in Egypt made this festival between Egypt and India to talk about the relationships between the two countries. And today the ambassador of India talked about the old relationships between Egypt. He started with the ancient Egyptian, the history of pharaonic, and after that he did talk about the relationship between Egypt and India, especially in the period of Gamal Abdel Nasser, the president of Egypt. After that, he said that the time of President Sisi is very important in the relationship between Egypt and India, and President Sisi visited India 2016. It was a very good visit, and he did talk about the clothes and the traditional customs in India and the features between Egypt and Indian person or Indian people. Today too, I did talk about the relationship between India and Egypt because I did visit India 2015, and I did talk with the academia of our academic persons of India, especially in 2015, and I did attend a good book fair in India, the New Delhi Book Fair, International Book Fair, and I did found the importance of the culture of Egypt, and I did found many multi-cultures of the people of India. Every day we found many kinds of cultures, many kinds of shows, and many kinds of books about Egypt, about the pharaohs, about the ancient Egyptian, and about the pyramids. So I can say today from this festival between Egypt and India, the relationship was very and still very, very strong. And I think the youth is, the Egyptian youth is, and the Egyptian and the Indian youth is will be useful from this kind of festival. I think we have a good pleasure. So we had a lot of kinds of life. I think India has a good treasure, especially traditions and customs, and the kind of people. They are very kind with the persons from the outside India. And I think the nature of our Egyptian here in Egypt are very kind, like the features of the Indian people. And I think our life, it looks like the Indian. By the way, I found Indian people are very pessimistic with the Egyptian people. And I think there is a good roots in the relationship, especially in the relationships between the civilizations, Egyptian civilization and the civilization in India. India had and has many kinds of civilizations, languages, slangs, and a lot of religions. But all these kinds, they are one because they are talking all together about Indian language or the Indian place. It's not problem in the India community. I think the diversity means all of us are one. That means that there's many religions and many kinds of people, black and white, and many traditions and customs and many suburbs, many states. But at the end of all of this, we will make a certainty about that all of them, they are one. And I think the ambassador today made a certainty about that the Indians likes diversity. Diversity shows, mean arts, mean many kinds of features, especially for the Indian people. I think there's many looks like Egyptian people. I think the life in India, especially in countryside, we have a life like this in our countryside here in Egypt. So I think the categories of the people over there, they looks like our life here in the categories of Egypt.
culture has been influenced by a history of charm that is several millennia old. This luxurious culture is the heritage of the social norm, ethical values, and traditional customs. Shuruq Bikir, Culture Magazine.
The Cairo Opera House plays a significant role in the cultural movement that is taking place in Egypt. Please stay tuned.
Fursan al-Sharq, or Knights of the East troupe, presented the show Isis of the East on the Fountain Theatre in Cairo Opera House, directed by Karima Bedir. The artist Fatma Mohammed performed the voice of the spirit of Isis. Characters performed by Yasmin Samir, Nadir Gamal, Muhammad Hilal, Abdurrahman Dusui, Habiba Ibrahim, Dunya Muhammad, Basim Magdi, Fatima Al-Shabrawi, and Hussein Rashad. Poems by Muhammad Zanati, music preparations by Muhammad Mustafa, the lighting of Rida Ibrahim, the implementation of decor by engineer Ahmed Zaid, and the close of engineer Hala Mahmoud. The show deals with the legend of marriage of Geb, the god of earth and Nut, the goddess of heaven, that led to birth of Isis and Osiris, and the marriage of various other ancient Egyptian deities. It is worth mentioning that the Fursan al-Sharq troupe, under the supervision of their artistic director Isam Izzat, was established by the Ministry of Culture in 2009 with the aim of drawing inspiration from the Egyptian and Arab heritage and reformulating it artistically through innovative kinetic designs and tabloids of a popular and historical dramatic character.
Well, with this, my dear viewers, we come to the end of this episode of our program Culture Magazine. I hope you've enjoyed being with me. Please wait for me in the next episode. Until then, it's goodbye.